Hello there. How are you doing? This is Yinka Joe on Guy Talk. How are you doing? I want to talk to you today on an important topic. But before that, I want to welcome all of you to our just new subscribers. Yay! Thank you for subscribing. Now, if you've not yet subscribed, I want you to subscribe right now to this channel. This video today, I want you to like this video. If you like something I'm sharing, make sure that you also comment and you share on other forums this video. Make sure that you hit the bell, the notification bell, so that you will know whenever I come up with a fresh video. Well, let's get into this right now. I want you to look at reasons why it's important to maintain sexual purity. These are 26 reasons why I choose not to commit sexual immorality. Now, I came across this as I studied, and I was fascinated to see that there are so many reasons also that you can come up with. Now, listen. Why have I decided to talk about this? Because it's important that you count the cost on anything in life. Sexual immorality is something that is a sin that you just don't slip into accidentally. It takes some thinking about, meditating about, planning, strategizing before going into it. So you have enough time before you commit it to think about the cost. Always think about the end before you go into it. It was Steve Covey, the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, who said one of the 7 habits of highly effective people is that they think about the end in advance before they start out on anything. So you think about the end of sexual immorality, think about the end of fornication, think about the end of adultery, think about what it will bring onto you before you go ahead and do it. You will find out that it's not really worth it. It's not really worth it. So let's quickly run through this right now. Number 1, also what are the things, what are the reasons why it is important to maintain sexual purity? Number 1, because grieving the Lord who redeemed me. I don't want to grieve the Lord who has redeemed me. Sexual immorality grieves Jesus, our Redeemer. Number 2, dragging the sacred name of the Lord in the mud. That's what it does. For a child of God, listen, as an unbeliever, a pig has no other choice but to wallow in mud. But you are a believer, and then you have the name of the Lord to uphold. I don't want to drag the sacred name of the Lord in the mud. Number 3, one day, if I commit sexual immorality, the grace of God, God forbid, one day having to look Jesus, the righteous judge, in the face and give an account for my actions. I mean, think about that. Your Savior is going to ask you, and you're going to have to talk to Him and start explaining to Him why you decided to get involved in sexual immorality. Number 4, following in the footsteps of those whose immorality forfeited or crippled their ministries or their testimonies. I don't want to follow those kind of footsteps in which people have been crippled, their testimony, their voices, their service, their ministry in the marketplace, their ministry, if they are in the house of God, church of God, if they are ministers of the gospel, their testimony, they forfeited or crippled their ministry. Number 5, the 5th reason why you should not get involved. I choose not to be involved in sexual morality is that it will inflict untold hurt on my wife. My wife is my best friend. I've seen how when men have gone into sexual immorality, how it has hurt their life partner so much. I don't want to inflict such untold hurt on my wife. Number 6, the 6th reason why I do not get involved in sexual immorality is I do not want to lose my wife's respect and my wife's trust. And there's something there. Trust has been eroded, and the respect is not really there anymore when a husband goes out and gets involved in sexual immorality. Well, there may be forgiveness, but it's like a piece of paper. When you have a piece of paper like this and you crumple it, once you crumple it, and then that is like committing sexual immorality. You may ask for forgiveness. You may be forgiven by your wife, but it's like this. You just try to straighten things out. You try to straighten it as best as you can. You try and straighten things out as best as you can. But I don't know if you can still see this. that there is some form of wrinkle still. There's some form of wrinkle. No matter how you try to straighten it out, you see, that trust is broken and that respect is no more there. I don't want to lose the respect and the trust of my wife. So I stay away from sexual immorality. Number 7, hurting my beloved children. The children, they feel hurt in this kind of scenario of loyalty and sexual fidelity being broken through sexual immorality. You have children in the house, they find out about it, they feel hurt so much. Number 8, destroying my example and credibility with my children and nullifying both present and future efforts to teach them to obey God. So you have these children, you want to teach them on how to obey God. At the back of their mind, they know that, look, your credibility is tainted, your credibility is not really sure. So it affects even when you start learning to teach them about uprightness, about integrity, about loyalty, about holiness, about purity. All right, number 9, if my blindness should continue or my wife is unable to forgive, perhaps losing my wife and children forever. Many people have lost their homes and marriages. They've lost their wives, the wife and the children because of sexual immorality, the blindness that it brings, and especially if the spouse has decided that she's not going to forgive. So this is a reason. Think about it thoroughly. If it has happened to people, don't just think that I'll do the sexual immorality, I'll get away with it, I'll be the exception. What if you are not the exception? Number 10, causing shame to my family. It really brings a lot of shame to know to have your name around town as the man who can't keep it together, the husband who is indisciplined. It's sexual immorality causes shame to your family. Number 11, the 11th reason why I choose not to get involved in sexual immorality is it will cause my children to ask later in the future, why is daddy not, if there's some discipline in the ministry, why is daddy not a worker again? Why is daddy not a pastor again? Why is daddy not a leader again? And that is very, very important. Number 12, losing self-respect. I don't know if you realize this, but even there's a certain amount of self-respect that you lose of yourself when you find out that you cannot discipline yourself, you cannot say no, you cannot put your flesh under, you don't know how to possess your vessel, your physical body in purity and in holiness. You lose self-respect as a result of sexual immorality. So that's another reason why I decide not to get involved in sexual immorality. Number 13, creating a form of guilt which is awfully hard to shake off. Even though God will forgive me, or could I forgive myself? And many people have carried that guilt all through their lives. That yes, God has forgiven them. Maybe their spouse will forgive them. But then there's a nagging feeling of not being able to even forgive yourself. That guilt is an awful guilt, hard to shake off. Remember again, when you remember that, just think it's not sexual immorality. No. It's not worth it. Alright, number 14, forming memories and flashbacks that could place future intimacy with my spouse, with my wife. You see, when you have some people, all various kind of people that you have been involved with sexually, you have a lot of all these memories and all these flashbacks. But a person who has never had any sexual immorality issue as singles, they've never had anybody to compare their spouse with, and even as married people, they have nobody to compare with. So they don't have any memory or flashback that can be plaguing any kind of sexual intimacy with their own legitimate wife. So you don't want to start battling all those mental harassment and torture. Number 15. If you're a minister, a servant of God, if you get involved in sexual immorality, it's wasting years of ministry training and experience. And for a long time, sometimes maybe permanently. Some people permanently, they've been trained, but permanently they cannot utilize it anymore because they got involved in sexual immorality. Number 16, forfeiting the effect of years of witnessing to your family. I have talked to a lot of people in my family. A lot of them look up to me. I've shared with them. I have led many of them to Christ. Now, if I go and get involved in sexual immorality, all those years of witnessing for them, them, and then these family members will just be lost and eroded. And also, I will be reinforcing their distrust for ministers. So many people in this world already do not trust Christians. They do not trust ministers. They do not trust church people. Then I go and get involved in sexual immorality. That will reinforce it, and I don't want to do that. Number 17, perhaps contributing to the hardening of people's hearts regarding the gospel is linked to number 16. You will see they would start saying the gospel doesn't really work. People are not really changed. They're just faking it. The church is full of hypocrites. If a child of God goes to get involved in sexual immorality, then the hearts of sinners around them will even get more hardened against the gospel. Number 18. If you get involved in sexual immorality, it will undermine the faithful example and hard work of other Christians around us, around our community. There are many Christians, many people who are living upright. But people, if you are the one that they know, you are the closest Christians that they know, and you go and get involved in sexual immorality, then they'll use a white brush to paint every believer. And all the faithful examples that other believers are exemplifying, the hard work of living pure and holy that other believers are working in, you have undermined it by your own example. Number 19, bringing great pleasure to Satan, who is the enemy of God and who is also the enemy of all that is good. Satan is always telling sinners and unbelievers, don't mind God. It's not real. Nobody can live above sin. Every man falls into sexual immorality and lives there. That is what it means to be a man and all of that. So here you are as a child of God, and you want to bring a testimony for righteousness, but then Satan will just laugh with glee and with pleasure when he sees a child of God getting into sexual immorality, and is the enemy of God. And I'm even sure he just glees and tells all these other demons, and he tells them God is not as strong and powerful as he claims to be. Let's go to number 20 right now. Heaping judgment and endless difficulty on the person with whom I commit adultery. Think about that too. The person or persons you are committing adultery, sexual immorality, fornication with, they too keep on getting guilty. They too keep on having endless difficulty in their own lives also. So you do not love your neighbor at all when you get involved in sexual immorality. Number 21. 21st reason is possibly bearing the physical consequences of diseases in my life, such as gonorrhea, syphilis, chlamydia, herpes, HIV, AIDS, and HPA. There's some other newer diseases now that are even more vicious and more wicked than HIV and AIDS. So you are possibly exposing yourself to such, risking your own life. Sometimes this kind of diseases can be terminal. They can be life-threatening. So this is like trying to commit suicide. Hey, so please, and some of these diseases, even if you get treated, they may have long-lasting, permanent damages on your body. So think about that and avoid sexual immorality. Number 22, perhaps infecting my wife, or in the case of AIDS, even causing her death. I have seen situations in which a spouse caused the death of the other because the spouse got involved in sexual immorality, went outside of the home to have sex and brought it to their house, and ended up infecting the spouse, and the spouse died. Sometimes the two of them end up dying. These are real stories. So you've got to think about this. Sometimes it's a case of life and death. Is it worth it? It's not worth it, my friend. Number 23, possibly sexual immorality. I avoid it because it could possibly cause pregnancy with the person I go and commit sexual immorality with, and it goes with all the personal and financial implications. And apart from that, it also includes, if the baby is born, a lifetime reminder of sin that faces you and stares you in the face. If the person decides to abort and terminate the pregnancy, now you have an eternal weight of the sin of murder, in addition to sexual immorality, fornication, and adultery hanging on your head for eternity. It's not worth it, my friends. Number 24, bringing hurt to fellow servants of God, fellow children of God, fellow brethren. Number 25, bringing hurt to my friends, especially those that have led to Christ and disciple. I think about it a lot. I don't want to bring hurt to them, so I stay away from sexual immorality. And finally, invoking shame and lifelong embarrassment upon myself. You call yourself a child of God, and then behold, your sin will find you out. It's what the scripture says. You go and get involved in sexual immorality, that sin will be exposed sooner than later. So that is these reasons, 26 reasons. I think about it from time to time, and it makes me think of the consequences. The penalty, the payment is too costly for me to go into sexual immorality. So I stay away from sexual immorality. I want you to think about these 26 things I've talked about. Rewind this video, listen over and over again, extract the things I've said, and think about it. And the more you think about it, you'll find out that sexual immorality is not worth all of the harrowing problems that come and the cost, grievous and great cost that come along with it. Well, what do you think of what I've shared? Am I on to something? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I want you to comment. I want you to like this video, share this video, hit the bell so that you know when I bring up a new video. And more than anything else, make sure that you subscribe right now. So until next time, this is Yinka John Guy Talk said, keep on keeping the flag of Jesus flying.